All right, so in this graph, we're gonna look at how do we graph cosine graphs. So the first thing we're gonna start with is we should know what a base cosine graph looks like. So if we're gonna graph y equals cosine of x, we should know that we're gonna start from looking at the unit circle, we're gonna start at 0, 1. We're gonna end at 2 pi. We're gonna be back at 1. At 1 pi, we're gonna be down at -1. And at pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2, we're gonna be at our x-intercept. So the graph has a feel of this right here. Okay, now obviously that's gonna be changed with the fact that we have a -4 in front. That's gonna be changed with the fact that our period is going to get smaller, okay? So let's just go ahead and talk about that right there. Our amplitude is going to be the absolute value of this number, which tells us our amplitude is gonna be 4. Our period is going to be 2 pi, because that's the base period for cosine. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna divide by the number in front of theta, which is 2. So that tells us that our period is gonna be 1 pi. Now in context of this specific graph, because each box is pi over 4, then this represents 4 boxes. Okay. Now we need to find the phase shift. So what is our starting point? Phase shift represents our starting point. We're gonna go ahead and set that equal to 0. So for our PS, which is actually our SP, starting point, we'll do 2 theta minus pi over 4, set it equal to 0, add pi over 4 to both sides. We'll take 2 theta is equal to pi over 4. We'll multiply everything by 1/2, and we'll get our starting point is pi over 8. Now, since all of our boxes are pi over 4, this is gonna be a phase shift of 1/2 box, and we're gonna go 1/2 box right. So when we look at that, usually, remember, we usually start off with, and we usually start off at 0, 1. So I'm gonna start at 1/8 pi, or pi over 8. And I'd usually start up here at 1. Now I'm gonna put a little open dot right there. We don't wanna start at 1 though here, because we would take that 1 and we'd multiply it by -4, and that's gonna drop us down all the way down to -4. Okay, now my ending point is going to be 4 boxes away. This is gonna represent 1 pi. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's gonna be my ending point, okay? Because notice your starting point and your ending point will be 1 period away, okay? Now halfway between that would be 2 boxes, 1, 2. So usually halfway between that I'm down at -1, so usually I'd be like right here. But if I take that -1 and I multiply it by -4, then that's gonna bump me all the way up to +4. Okay, and notice from the distance from here to here was 2 boxes. So the distance from here to the midpoint is only gonna be 1 box. So I'm gonna move that up here. That's gonna be my x-intercept. Okay, and then I'm gonna go from here 1 box over, that's gonna also be an x-intercept. Now, trying to connect this and actually get a nice curve with it is gonna be pretty tough. So what I encourage people to do is the distance from this point to this point was 1 box over. I would go 1 box over and I would add this additional point right here. It's gonna make all the difference when you try to connect like this. Okay. Now granted, the 1 period for this graph is from here to here. We just graphed that additional point so that when we started to make the curves, they would look correct.